All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're taking on the big one. We are diving deep into the entire season of The Madness. It's kind of like binge watching the whole thing, but this time around, someone's hit that explain it like I'm an eighth grade button for you.
Yeah.
And trust me, with all the crazy twists and turns this season throws at us, you'll be glad we're here to break it all down.
Yeah, you guys are in for a wild ride with this show. It throws you headfirst into this world that honestly feels like it's ripped straight from the headlines. You start questioning everything. What's real? What's manipulation? It's a story that really gets under your skin, and we're here to unpack all of it.
Exactly. So imagine this. Muncie Daniels, big-time CNN anchor, he just wants a little peace and quiet to finally finish writing his book. So he heads up to a cozy cabin in the Poconos thinking, all right, it's smooth sailing from here. But bam, he finds himself framed for murder. And not just any murder, the murder of his neighbor, who, oh, by the way, happens to be a leader in this white supremacist group called The Forge.
Talk about a gripping premise right from the start. I mean, it plays on our fascination with true crime while weaving in all these anxieties we have about extremism and, all that online misinformation. It's a story that really asks, how far would someone go to protect their interests, their power?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where things get really, really interesting. Because the show doesn't just throw a murder at us and call it a day. It digs deep into the why. Why frame Muncie? Who benefits from his downfall?
Well, that's where we're introduced to Mark Simon, better known online as Brother 14. He's a key figure in The Forge, right? And he's got this massive online following. He's spewing all this hate speech, all these conspiracy theories, gaining traction and influence. It's actually kind of chilling how familiar it all feels in today's world.
Seriously, it's like they took those QAnon figures we see online and gave them a face, a name, a whole backstory. It's fiction, sure, but it hits a little too close to home. Makes you wonder about how these online movements actually translate into real-world consequences.
And that's the brilliance of The Madness. It blurs the lines between fiction and reality, right? Using the motor of Brother 14 as a launch pad to explore all these dark sides of our society, the manipulation, the power struggles, the fight for truth in a world that's drowning in misinformation.
It's a lot. So we've got this murder, a tangled web of conspiracy, and our main man, Muncie, who is thrown into a situation that spins out of control faster than you can say fake news. But hold on, let's not forget about the evidence. The show does this amazing job of showing us just how carefully they framed Muncie, making it look totally believable. We're talking planted evidence, bloody clothes, even fake internet searches, all designed to point the finger right at him.
It's honestly kind of scary how easily a narrative can be manipulated, especially in this digital age where information spreads like wildfire. Makes you think, right? What even counts as proof anymore? What can we really believe when technology can be used to completely distort reality?
It's a great question. And it feels like the show's holding up a mirror to our own lives. Like, hey, be more careful out there. Be more critical of the information you're taking in. Because in the world of the madness, nothing is what it seems. And in the middle of all this craziness, we meet Muncie's family, his estranged wife, Elena, their two kids, Demetrius and Callie. It just adds this whole other layer to his situation, showing us what's at stake for him personally, beyond just the murder mystery itself.
Yeah, their family dynamic is really fascinating. It's definitely strained, no doubt about that. Years of unspoken issues bubbling under the surface. But even with all that, you can still see the love there, the loyalty they have for each other, even when it gets messy.
Then there's Callie, Muncie's daughter from a previous relationship. She comes back into his life right in the middle of all this chaos.
It's really nice to see them reconnect, building that bond in the midst of all this madness. It adds a little bit of warmth to a story that's otherwise pretty dark.
Definitely. And speaking of the forces at play here, let's talk about some of the other key players.
Yes.
Like Kwesi, Muncie's lawyer friend. He's the one who gives Muncie that really grounded advice, even suggesting at one point that maybe he should just skip town, flee the country.
Oh, yeah, Kwesi. He's hilarious. He brings some much-needed humor to the show, for sure. But he also keeps things real. He's that voice of reason, always reminding Muncie about the real-world consequences of his actions. But at the end of the day, he's also that loyal friend who's going to be there no matter what.
Exactly. Then we have Lucy, Mark Simon's ex-wife. She's trying to get away from the Forge, escape their grip, and her journey is just so powerful. It shows us how hard it is to break free from these extremist groups.
Yeah, it's not easy. And the show doesn't shy away from that. Lucy's story really highlights the emotional and psychological toll it takes to leave a group like that. It's not just about physically walking away, it's about confronting your past, a whole belief system that you once embraced.
Yeah, it makes you think about the long-term impact. And then there's Stu Magnuson, that wealthy, powerful guy. At first, he seems like the mastermind behind it all. But then, boom, he's taken out of the picture pretty quickly. And we're left wondering, who's really calling the shots?
Totally. The show plays with our expectations so well. Setting up Stu as this classic villain only to pull the rug out from under us. It makes you question every character's motives, their role in the whole scheme of things.
Definitely keeps you guessing. And that's when Rodney Cranes enters the picture. The tech mogul behind Revitalize, that supposedly eco-friendly company. Well, he turns out to be the real villain of the story.
And the irony there is just, wow. A company preaching environmentalism while secretly manipulating elections and controlling the narrative.
It's mind-blowing.
Makes you think about all those greenwashing tactics we see in real life. Companies using a positive image to hide their true agenda.
It's scary how relevant that is. And then the fact that Rodney's using the Forge, this extremist group, as pawns in his game.
It's a chilling reminder of how easily people can be manipulated, especially when they're vulnerable.
And the way Rodney controls the flow of information, the way he influences politics.
It all feels a little too close to home, doesn't it?
It definitely makes you think twice about what you see and hear out there. Who's really pulling the strings?
Right.
How much of what we're consuming is actually unbiased?
It's a lot to unpack.
But that's what makes the madness so captivating.
Yeah.
It takes all these anxieties we have about control and manipulation, and it just amplifies them, creating a story that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. And then it all comes down to this. Muncie finds himself face-to-face with Rodney, gun in hand. It is such a tense moment. You're sitting on the edge of your seat like, what's going to happen? Is he really going to do this?
Yeah, it's a turning point for Muncie. I mean, the guy's been through the ringer, betrayed, framed, you name it, and now he's staring down the man who orchestrated it all.
Talk about a breaking point.
But he makes a choice. He chooses not to pull the trigger. He realizes that violence isn't the answer.
It's a powerful moment. Even when pushed to the absolute limit, Muncie holds on to his morals.
Exactly. And it underscores the complexity of the whole situation. It's not just about revenge. Killing Rodney wouldn't magically fix everything. It wouldn't bring back the people who were hurt. It wouldn't erase the damage to Muncie's reputation.
It would just be adding more fuel to the fire.
Exactly.
But then, just when you think you've got it all figured out, plot twist. Rodney ends up dead anyway.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a curveball.
And it wasn't Muncie.
Nope. Turns out it was Bobby. Remember him, that Forge member who wanted revenge for Mark's death?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like the show's reminding us that there are always these unforeseen consequences, these players with their own agendas. Even when you think you know how the game is played.
You never really know the full story.
Yep.
And even though Muncie is cleared of all the charges against him, he's not the same. The experience leaves a mark.
Trauma does that. Even after the danger has passed, those scars remain.
It makes you think about the long-term effects of something like this.
It's a really realistic portrayal of how surviving something so intense can change a person.
Yeah, heavy stuff. And that final scene, Elena and Muncie finally reconciling, finding some peace with each other. It's a bittersweet, don't you think?
Totally, because there's that lingering sound of a car following them.
It makes you wonder.
Like, is Muncie ever really safe? Can anyone escape the reach of these powerful forces?
It's a question that stays with you.
Long after the credits roll.
So yeah, The Madness is definitely a show that makes you think.
It challenges you to dig deeper, to question everything.
And that's what we love about it.
It's a reminder that truth is slippery, Narratives are constantly being spun, and we have to be careful.
Be critical thinkers.
Exactly. We have to learn to separate fact from fiction.
Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. What are your thoughts on The Madness? Did we miss any key details? Head over to the comments section and let us know your theories, your favorite moments, anything you want to share.
And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that subscribe button. We're always exploring new shows, movies, books, whatever gets those brain juices flowing.
We love unpacking these stories and getting these conversations going. So until next time, stay curious out there.